It's Thursday, March 8th, 2012. You've tuned in to the 404 show on CNET TV. I'm Jeff Bagalar.
I'm Ty Pendlebury.
And I'm Justin Yu.
And this is the show where we have no names, man. No names.
We're nameless.
We are essentially nameless. That's right, because the big news of the day, or yesterday rather, Apple goes ahead and comes out with a new iPad. And guess what, kids? They're calling it the new iPad. You hear that? That's every member of the AARP losing their minds in confusion. Because, I'm sorry, man.
Making farting noises into the microphone.
I'm sorry. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. You simpleton. You freaking kindergartner. All right?
It's too cerebral.
Is this, can you get over this? Because... whatever. It's an incremental update. It's not that big of a deal in my opinion.
Second incremental update. I think a lot of people were pissed off about
the
this.
2?
My friends were not about the 2. Can we get over the name? I mean, the name is negligible.
No, the name is the biggest deal about this.
Okay.
How do you do this? How does the most innovative and smartest company, arguably on Earth, just self-title the iPad?
I mean, I get it. I think it's because people would be confused about the hardware versus the generation of the iPad. Like, this is technically the third iPad, but it has 4G.
So
they can't call it the 3G because people think the G stands for generation.
So call it the HD like everyone thought it was going to be. Meanwhile, every single person on the freaking internet was wrong about this.
Including
ourselves. CNET. That's where I got my information. But it wasn't just CNET. It was everyone. Right. Everyone said it was going to be called the HD.
Do you really want to call it the HD, though? That dated in 2004. It's
I'm
like calling it the
HD DVD.
iPad Space.
Dude, you're
or
totally
the Rocket Man or something like that.
You're totally right. And I was making fun. I'm like, toasters use the HD suffix. It's ridiculous. It's complete nonsense. But it's still better than calling it the new iPad. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, man.
What are they going to call next year's?
I don't care. Call it whatever.
The iPaddening.
Dude, you laugh. I don't care what it is. You need to be able to distinguish the difference. They made like a sandwich. It's iPad, iPad 2, and iPad.
Right.
I don't understand.
I reckon next year they're actually going to go... Well, I don't know what they're going to do next year, but look at the MacBook, for example.
Right.
They haven't changed that name, the MacBook Pro. They don't have different names. It's just, okay, that's this year's
Good
MacBook.
point.
Right.
So maybe they're going for a similar thing with the iPad.
Good point.
That makes sense. And then it eliminates a lot of the confusion that came out of the iPhone 3G, 3GS, 4G, 4. Like, what does the S stand for in 4S?
Speed, obviously.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. They shouldn't call it something else.
Look, I'm just saying, it's very confusing.
Yeah.
I mean, I literally had like a dozen people IMing me yesterday and being like, so what is it called?
Okay, but just to play devil's advocate, we've complained on the show before, earlier this week actually, about the nomenclature of things like televisions that have a million different suffixes, right? And so you're saying that you want somewhere in the middle where they don't have a lot at the end, but aren't just the iPad. Like, you want somewhere.
I have no problem with just
compromise?
doing numbers. I just have no problem with it.
Right, okay.
Or call it the iPad 2012 or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, or the iPad, do like what Madden does and call it iPad 12.
Right.
And iPad 13. It's fine. It's just, think about, like, this is, I know the MacBooks, every Apple product basically refreshes every year. I get that.
Yeah.
And I understand that, maybe with something like the MacBook, that's how it comes out, though. Like, when like my MacBook Pro is the MacBook Pro October 08.
Right.
You know what I mean? You buy accessories for these things. It's going to get confusing because it's like, oh, well, I have an iPad, new iPad. It's the third one, but it's a little bigger than the 2.
Where did you get it? When?
Right.
How?
But it's not the first one, sir. I mean, it's a little silly.
Yeah.
And I kind of wish they got their crap together in that department.
Okay, well, names aside, Ty, what did you think about the announcements yesterday? Were you impressed, or were you looking for something else that they didn't announce?
Well, I got it wrong, actually. I predicted there would be Siri, which they didn't have.
Right.
What did I also predict? That there wasn't going to be 4G, which there was.
Why did you predict that? Why did you think that was going to happen?
I think the 4G, it's different in every country. Obviously, they want to release a global device. And they've just found, obviously, I'm an Australian, we just found out that they're not going to have a 4G device for Australia.
Oh.
So, because, I think the one that's released here is operating on 800 and 1200 megahertz.
Okay.
The one in Australia would need to operate on 2000 megahertz to actually be 4G in Australia. So, yeah, I thought that they wouldn't go ahead. Usually they get on, they either create their own interfaces or their own sort of technologies like, was it Thunderbolt or whatever that was?
Sure.
Right.
Or Firewire. They don't usually tack on to nascent technologies that are someone else's.
Sure.
So I thought that they'd wait a bit longer before they released a 4G device.
Gotcha. In my opinion, 4G is not the biggest update to this thing.
What do you
I
think
mean,
is the display?
I can get 4G on my iPad too by using my Nexus as a hotspot. So that's moot as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
Any sort of wireless connectivity, it's like, all right, great. If you have a 4G cell phone, you pay for that anyway. You might as well pay for that hotspot feature and not worry about it. It's the screen, for sure. The screen is the biggest deal. That's 90% of what the iPad is. You're looking at the thing constantly. The screen's the biggest deal.
Right.
And it's a really big update. I mean, this is a huge deal. Twice the resolution.
Yeah, what's
almost
the
twice
official resolution now?
It's something crazy.
It's like 2048 or something like that?
Yeah, it's really high. So I think that's pretty cool. Then, of course, I definitely have a problem with when they came out and said, all right, this thing's got more memory and more resolution than an Xbox and a PS3. In fact, throw those consoles out the window because you don't need that crap anymore.
Right.
You don't need to play Gears of War. You don't need to play Metal Gear Solid. You don't need to play Killzone or any of that crap. Play the iPad, the new iPad.
When does this thing come out? It comes out next week, doesn't it?
Yeah,
you can actually
Friday.
pre-order it now.
Yeah.
So it's actually a good time to pick up all of these discarded consoles.
Yeah, because
Just
everyone's
go
going to be
running through the
tossing
streets.
them.
Yeah, they'll just be out for landfill.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone's going to put, in their rubbish bin, going to throw it out the window because no one cares about consoles anymore. Because Apple said that if you own a console, you're an idiot.
Right.
No, they didn't say that.
I did like how they were comparing the specs of the iPad to the Xbox, right? And we were talking about this yesterday.
Right, when the Xbox is going on 7 years old. Right? I mean, is that not like the Vita making fun of like the Game Boy Color? And being like, come on. 3 colors you have, I'm a quad core with 8 billion colors.
Right.
What's up? That sort of came off cheap. And I wrote something about it yesterday. How it's a little bit to sort of jab at the big home consoles when you're just a tablet that plays Angry Birds.
I mean, they should really be comparing it to the specs to itself, right? Because there's been such big changes since the first generation. Like I think there was some rumors today that although they didn't announce it, the new iPad has a gig of memory.
Sure.
It's like 4 times the amount of memory that came out with the first version, and that's something that wasn't a big deal.
Great point.
But I think, if you're going to compare it to something, talk about how much better it is than the first one. But then that might make people feel like garbage for still using the first one.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what they should do.
Right.
Instead of going after, and they used to do this sort of, this like weird logic, this sort of like spin they put on their little keynote, things. When they used to say like, oh, the App Store has 55,000 times the games that the 3DS or the DS and the PSP have.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, they were all made in a week and cost 99 cents.
Yeah.
And the vast majority of them are trash.
But if you look at what's happened with the Vita store, supposedly they're getting these smaller games in,
right?
But they're charging too much money for them.
I agree with that.
What is it? Plants vs. Zombies is still $10 to $20.
Too much money for that stuff.
And that's been out for what, 4 years?
It's been out for a while.
A long time. And
I'm not saying that Sony and Microsoft have the answers and are correct in this. But would you agree in saying that it was a little bit of a stretch for I forget Phil Schiller, is that his name? Mm-hmm. He comes out and he's just strutting out there and he's like, this stuff's more powerful than your stupid Xbox.
I mean, before that, all they had to compare to was this is more powerful than the stuff that sent people to the moon.
Right. And they're like,
and they still use that.
They do.
Plantronics says, we used headsets on the moon.
Right.
40 years ago.
Yeah, 43 years ago. You a-holes. Okay? This freaking iPad better be quicker than an Xbox and a PlayStation 3.
Right.
You kidding me? If it wasn't, I'd slap, all these guys in the face. It's ridiculous.
So are you going to pre-order one? I mean, they're already running out.
I bought 4 already.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Let's just get
I bought
right
all.
to it.
No, I'm not. I'm not going to buy this one.
Yeah.
I'm just not. There's not. And look, as much as it sounds like I'm hating on it, which I definitely am, and I'm just I reach a tipping point where it's like, okay, I've the boiling point is here because there's just so much hype. I have nothing to do but to just rebel against it. It's just you can't be that powerful and not face some sort of scrutiny.
Right.
Dude, when the iPad 2 announcement hit, I was like, oh man, I'm getting this thing. There's not that drive for this new iPad.
I'm just not gonna lie. I'm gonna say what's on everyone's mind is that the design did not impress me, and the improvements in the hardware just weren't there. It looks exactly the same, which I know is a really pedestrian way of looking at it, and we should be, like investigating more into the inside.
Sure.
The software is what's really important, and that's gonna get a big upgrade. But
Sure.
It just
from a
really
hardware
seems,
perspective, I just want something new in my hands, and that's a big deal.
It seems that they're treading water this year. The iPhone 4S didn't really deliver on any of its promises. The new iPad, whatever we're calling it now, has a bigger screen, and that's pretty much it. So either they're going to come out with an iPhone 5 in, a couple of months, they reckon that's going to happen?
I guess like September or something.
So, they really... I think a lot of companies, not just Apple, but a lot of companies sort of took this year and last year off. They didn't really innovate as much.
Right.
Whether that's a global economy thing or, maybe they've got something saved up. Maybe they didn't put Siri into iPhone or the new iPad because it's going to be in the next one. It's going to be even more amazing.
I just think Siri is, I think Siri's overrated as it is. Maybe tossing it in there was I don't know. I think the dictation thing is good because typing on an iPad is pretty miserable.
Right. And then I think iOS 5.1 got a Japanese language addition to Siri, which is a very minor detail.
Right.
But
and I love how that's what they started off with.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
We brought you to sunny San Francisco to tell you that this
That's
thing
the opening
understands
band.
Japanese now.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're speaking in English, of
Right,
course.
right,
So
right.
all of the people who would benefit from a Japanese language edition couldn't understand what you're saying anyway.
No freaking clue. Yeah, definitely weird. The iPhoto stuff is cool.
Yeah.
You can't deny that. It's cheap. It works with every iPad, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I think that's kind of awesome.
Yeah.
But chat room's just like pumping in Xbox 360 specs now to make the comparison. It's like if Sony and Microsoft came out and they were like, "Oh, we just heard that the iPad 3 is more powerful." It's like them coming out and being like, our controllers have 15 times the button capability as the iPad. You know what I mean? It's like the same stupid argument.
I'm looking at this. The original Xbox 360 had dual cores, 3.2 gigahertz, 512 megabytes of RAM. I would think that the jump 7 years later to the iPad 3 would be a lot bigger.
Yeah, this thing should have 40 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, exactly.
You kidding me? It's just a freaking cheap hit, man.
Yeah, that's
it's
pretty low
cheap.
blow.
And I don't like that speak. Now, I'm not saying Steve Jobs would have done it any differently, but you don't know. You don't know, and I'm not going there.
It's hard not to think about what
someone
would
asked me.
happen.
Someone asked me this morning, would it be called the new iPad if Steve Jobs was still around? I don't know.
No
how,
idea.
How can anyone know that? We don't know. Did he have the final stamp? Was like, this is the iPad 2.
Well, it's tough because you don't know where his influence ended
and where it sort
finished.
of and I don't think it's ended at all.
Right.
But
Well, if he had that think tank, I don't know. We were talking about maybe he has like a huge vault just full of ideas.
That's it.
It's going to be like Tupac. He's going to still be releasing albums
Yeah, exactly.
in 10 years' time.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, for sure. New turtlenecks coming out. It's like, dude, we're not,
Please don't make fun of Steve Jobs.
We're not making fun of Steve Jobs. We love Steve Jobs. We miss Steve Jobs.
Yeah,
That's
we
for
do.
sure. We got to take a break. When we come back, more with Ty Pendlebury and the iPad and calls and all this good stuff. Stick around. The 404 isn't going anywhere, so I guess neither should you. We'll be back.
This is the 404 MRFers, the show where we all sing songs.
Hey 404 crew, this is Rich in lovely warm Cleveland, and just taking some time to enjoy one of Cleveland's many great non-flammable rivers here, and it's a beautiful sight after a long day of work, and just got me thinking and really reevaluating in a lot of ways how amazing this will look on the iPad's new Retina display. I mean, it'll just blow this nature crap out of the water.
Hey, this is Greg from New Orleans, and you're listening to the 404, where we're proudly waving our anti-Apple freak flag. Woohoo! Big Pat Wilson.
Wherever you are, crying in an apple ditch somewhere.
I'm not gonna lie. Kind of
What?
wonder what he thinks about all this.
No, do you or do you not care?
I just want to know how he would spin it positively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I was.
He's definitely thinking that.
Well, we just watched a video voicemail from Rich from Cleveland. He's the guy that won our iPad competition, right?
Yeah.
I kind of was hoping he was just gonna take it and just throw it into the river.
Yeah,
there.
just like get rid of it right
yeah,
then and
like,
there.
no, I don't need this piece of crap anymore. Like a year old now.
He just gives it like a lofty lob
It's
into
ridiculous.
the old lake there.
But he does make a good point. He's like, the Retina display almost makes it look better than real life.
Yeah.
Who needs nature when you can just look at a screen, right?
So, yeah, I mean, I want to talk more about the display.
Yeah.
So, like, it's not very clear to me.
At what point are people just going to be using the iPad to look at things through the camera? Right? Like
That's not going to
they're
happen.
just going to be like pointing.
That's not going to happen. I'm pretty sure your eye is better than that.
Molly
Retina
Wood
display.
brought up
Someday.
a good point during yesterday's live cast, in that people are because the cameras in this is quite good now. People
Yeah.
are going to start taking pictures
No, I don't
with
think
a
they
stupid
will.
iPad, and they're going to
They
look like
already do.
idiots.
They already do.
Yeah.
and
like
they already
the
look
mirror
like
pictures
idiots.
are always pretty funny when people are just holding up an iPad.
never
like
seen
this.
that.
Oh my god, it's
I
crazy.
feel like only athletes do it at All-Star games. That's the only application for
Right.
using an iPad as a camera. Have you seen how ridiculous somebody looks holding a book up and taking? It's like, ready, smile.
You need
Here you go.
need basically the big.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell is that? We're
obscure.
looking at
Oh
a
my
photo.
God.
We're looking at a photo that a very attractive woman is taking.
Right.
The iPad takes up an eighth of the freaking screen. It's ridiculous. It's like, ready, cheese.
That's so
Say
good.
cheese, and you're just like, I don't
Step
understand.
backward, yeah.
I don't understand it.
You need sort of like the flash, and you need the big cape thing.
Yeah, there you
and
go. Like it's
stand still.
1885 or
Yeah.
something like that. It's ridiculous. Taking photos and videos with your freaking iPad, I don't know. People will continue to not do that, I think.
Yeah.
I don't care how good the camera is. Look at like an SLR, right? Like look at that and how much heavier that is than an iPad.
Yeah.
That's what people take photos with. I get it. You maybe, you're in the situation where you need to do it. But if I have a smartphone or an iPhone or whatever it is, and I have an iPad, why? I'm just obviously taking it with my phone. It's not even a freaking trick. Even if I'm holding my iPad and my phone's in my bag, I'm going into my bag and taking because it's less cumbersome.
Yeah. Maybe the larger display though allows you to see more of what
Get
you're
outta here.
taking.
Get
I mean, it's
outta
a bigger
here.
viewfinder.
I've
essentially.
taken one photo on my iPad too, and it was
Yeah.
by accident.
Right.
Because I
okay.
was like, "What's this button do?" And that's it.
whoops.
I'm sorry. I just I don't get it.
All right.
I don't get it. Here,
It's
take.
not practical. The
It's not.
iPad's not practical.
God, there's a lot of hate on today's
Well,
show.
I'm just saying.
It's a great device. I'm
Yeah.
actually going to buy the second one probably instead of a laptop.
Well, you're gonna buy the iPad too.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I don't, I've got a work laptop.
Sure.
Right.
I don't really need one to take to events or, if I'm going somewhere on business. All I need is basically something I can browse on the couch with. And I think an iPad's perfect for that.
It
and
is.
the second iPad's still just as good. I think they lowered it $100 yesterday, immediately following the keynote. So that's even better. I wouldn't pay an extra 100 for the.
That's the
upgrade.
big news, man. That's
Yeah.
to me. That's the big news. If you don't have an iPad, man, it's to me it's tough convincing someone to spend that extra $100 when that iPad 2 is is $100 cheaper.
And do you remember us having this conversation about me buying the iPad 1 when the 2 came out?
Right.
It was the exact same thing.
Right.
I hate Apple. I'm starting to really dislike this company.
People don't. There's the pot's brewing a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's just how long can and we act like they're on their way down too. We act
Well,
like
they're against all the odds, they're at the highest stock
Yeah,
level they've
ever,
ever been.
ever.
Bigger than any company. And
And
who would have
biggest
thought this
corporation
would
on
happen?
earth. Yeah. Who would have thought they'd be down in the gutter now?
Man, so refurbished iPad 2 on the Apple Store right now, Wi-Fi 16 gigs, $350.
That's not bad.
You should just get that.
Just get it. Buy it
buy
now,
it right
dude.
now.
Buy it
Take
Right
your
now,
wallet out.
Here.
Type on the internet and get
and
my
click.
internet pad
There
thing.
you go. Your internet pad has been ordered. It'll arrive in 2 to 4 days. It's pretty awesome.
I was thinking the other day, do we still need those little red flags?
What do you mean?
They come on, when the postman puts something in your letterbox, you need the little red flag to come up.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for
Wait,
stuff this week, and I wanted the little red flag to show me that I had.
Wait, in
mail.
your
That's-
actual mailbox?
Yeah, like
Wait.
they have out
You
in
still get
Oklahoma
real
or
mail?
whatever.
Oh,
No.
I still get real mail.
No, packages, I was
think,
waiting for-
I think there's a cultural disparity here. I think in Australia,
Everyone has red flags.
we do, but our red flags are telling the mailman that we have outgoing mail in the box.
No, that's
Wait,
not
really?
true.
What?
Sure it is.
I think
Crazy
Yes.
talk.
it goes for both. The mailman puts it up when there's mail inside.
No!
You put it
No!
up when the mailman
No!
comes to notify him of outgoing mail.
Richard,
Richard's from Utah. I'm talking about
There's
the
mail
real
in Utah.
America.
Yeah,
No, you
real-
put the flag up to when you have a mail in there that you need to go out.
Thank
Right.
you. What the
It
F
goes
is the
both
point?
ways.
I'm opening my mailbox every day because I expect mail every day.
Right,
Why would the guy be like, just let you know there's mail in here? No, of course not. It doesn't work like that.
Why?
fair enough.
That would be practical.
What are you talking about? The
are you-
flag is
are there
used
separate-
to tell the mailman,
There's
hey,
definitely
before
cultural
you
disparity
jam
here.
my current mail for the day in here,
Right.
stick your old hand in there and pull out what I'm trying to get out to the world.
Trolling you right now.
Yeah,
are you
you are
saying that
both.
there's an extra mailbox in Australia just for packages?
No,
Because then you would need to notify if there's something in it.
See, I don't know how it works, because there are
It's
some
been
quite
only
remote
8 months.
parts.
You've been wait, say this again?
There's some quite remote parts of Australia, so
Yeah.
obviously you can't drive down 4 hours
Right.
and go to the post office. I don't know what they do. I presume they have flags or something, but I don't know.
Okay,
I've lived
I'm
in the
not.
city most of my life, so I don't know what they
But
do with
there's-
these flags.
I understand that, and when you live in an urban area, you don't have a mailbox like you do in suburbia, right? Where it's just like a little mailbox on the
Right.
sidewalk and you flip the little flag. Here it's like, oh, there's a mailbox in every corner. You're just gonna dump it in there,
Right.
Or you're gonna walk to the post office.
Yeah.
You're kidding, right? You're messing with me.
What, about the flag
Yeah.
thing? I don't even have a flag on my mailbox.
Of course, no one has a flag
Yeah,
anymore.
I just
in
have
the
like
city.
15
But
mailboxes
when you
in my
live,
apartment
when you
building. Yeah,
lived
of course,
in
you get mail
suburbia.
every single day.
Right, so you flip the flag when you want it outgoing.
Right.
Okay, this guy's just pulling my chain here.
The chat room asks, what is mail?
Yeah, what is mail?
Well, back in the day, you used to have to lick the top of an envelope.
Yeah.
Man, that's just mail,
Bogans.
mail sucks, man.
Truly.
Mail does stink. Let's go talk about a few other things, not the iPad. This is cool. The very popular Simulation City game, right? That's why I call it Simulation City.
Mm.
It's coming back. SimCity's coming back after, like, what, a 10-year hiatus.
When did 4 come out? 2005, something like that?
I don't even think it was
Search on
that.
the
I
internet
don't
to
even
find
think it
out.
was that late. I think. Well, we're looking at the post on Crave here. It says nearly 10 years after the last major SimCity release, which I would imagine was SimCity 4.
Right.
The 5th version of the iconic SimCity game is due out 2013 and features a large range of graphic and gameplay improvements over previous generations. One major new feature is multiplayer support for up to 16 players. That doesn't sound like a lot of fun.
No.
Multiplayer in SimCity?
No, that
I don't
sounds
know.
horrible. That's like a committee game.
Yeah, that just sounds. It's like Sim Council Board. It's like no,
so
that
you have
sounds
to,
awful.
sign everything in triplicate. And,
Just
and
stamp a
vote.
bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
You have to go out and vote. Anyway, the concept art that we're looking at on the page here looks brilliant. I mean, SimCity's come a long way. We first got a taste of it. I can't remember when it was. It must have been the late 80s was the first SimCity game. I don't remember. But I used to be a SimCity addict.
Yeah, this
I
was definitely the first multiplayer game that really people just lost their lives.
Well, not
to,
multiplayer, but just like
yeah.
just really,
Massive
really addicted
gameplay.
to the gameplay and managing your city and making sure it was logical for where the power lines were and residential and commercial and industrial and all these different sort of segments of your city. And then once they went to like a 3D sort of thing in SimCity 4, it was like, well, forget it.
Right.
It's over. But I'm pretty psyched, man. I feel like SimCity is due for a refresh. And Maxis and EA, are bringing it to us in 2013. So
I'm
it's
really
pretty cool.
looking forward to that tapped out game, The Simpsons, which is essentially building Springfield.
Right.
With,
I have that.
Is it any good?
It's good. It's not as complicated as SimCity, which obviously should not be. It's on your iPad, but it's good. And if you're a SimCity fan or obviously a Simpsons fan, for sure, it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, check it out.
Well, then check it out. So yeah, SimCity 2013. Look for it. We'll post the story we have on Crave in the show notes today. Other news is that Netflix might be coming out of your cable box, and this is an interesting sort of story. I don't really understand how that could possibly work, but according to Reuters, Netflix honcho head Reed Hastings has been meeting with U.S. cable bigwigs in hopes of injecting the company's streaming video service directly into your TV's cable box. Now, I'm just trying to look from the outside in on this one. Doesn't that defeat the purpose of what Netflix is as a separate entity?
Our colleague David Katzmeyer actually came up with a good point in that it would be a gimped version. So essentially, what it'd be like a special netcast on, what Netflix on Comcast something. So it'd be
Right.
branded like that,
Right.
and it would not have duplicate content.
Right.
So all the stuff that they've got on video on demand, they wouldn't have. So it's a branding exercise for Netflix, and obviously whichever company they go for gets some sort of kickback financially.
Sure.
So to be for the people who don't want to buy a separate set-top box, basically they've got like a CRT or something still. They've just got one cable box, and then they get extra movies. So it's actually a win for them.
Right.
And it actually sounds like a good deal. But, of course, the smart people would go out and buy a $50 Roku box, which you can connect
Right.
to your HDMI port if you've
Of
got one of
course.
those. I think it
Right.
still has a composite port, so if you want to live, in 1932, you can do that as well. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's actually a good thing. It's a good branding exercise for them, and then it actually might be like a gateway device, and people will actually go and buy like a
That's a good
separate
point.
set-top box.
That's a good
But
point.
these would be curated movies and TV shows that they would
Absolutely.
just stream, right? Like you wouldn't be able to choose like you would on a normal Netflix box.
I think you would be able to. You still have like a user interface, and you'd be able to pick, but you wouldn't have the library that you do on a normal sort of
Right.
Netflix
Right.
service.
Something I'm still definitely just bitter about with Netflix is like the constantly changing library. It's not an archive anymore. It's sort of like, well, these 50 movies are here for 4 weeks, and you better watch them now because they're not going to be back. I don't like that. And I know it's a first world problem, of course, but I really wish every movie that ever hit Netflix was there and is there forever.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because you're like, all right, well, I know I'm always going to watch Back to the Future 2 over and over again. But I don't want to have it with like limited availability on this thing I'm paying
Right.
$8 a month for.
My gripe about Netflix is that it assumes what I think I'll like or dislike about a movie, right? Like the ratings that show up in
Sure.
the stars.
Yeah.
I always thought those were user ratings, but I think that's just Netflix's best guess about what I think the movie will be like.
Yeah.
I don't appreciate that. It
I
just
mean-
seems a little invasive to me. Like how?
And they're always very specific. Like, you like dark comedies set in the
Right.
future with Jude Law. It's
Yeah.
like, well, that's very specific.
yeah.
Maybe I do. I
like
don't
that.
like that.
I think if they actually charged a little bit more so you could have a library like in
Yeah.
other streaming services. So
I'm
if you
down
paid
with
an
that.
extra $3 or $4
Yeah.
and then you could have Back to the Future Forever,
Yes.
all those sort of things. I think, I do think, and I've said this before, that Netflix is actually too cheap. And that's not a very popular opinion, but
No.
I think,
And I'm
if they
lighting
were
my pitchfork right
if they
now.
were actually charging more money, then
Yeah.
they would have more leeway with the studios. They could pay the studios
Right.
more money. They would be able to hold on to these catalogs.
I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Seriously, I'm not messing around. You're right. It almost is too cheap, and they can't afford these sort of premium luxuries. That would definitely, I think, if I got to pay $12 instead of $8, sign me up.
damn.
I'm all good.
Same with, and I mean that's another thing for Spotify as well, is that they have a similar problem in that they're actually streaming full quality MP3s to your phone, which you can actually archive now. Which I think, why would you buy anything anymore
Right.
when you can just stream it and hold
You're
it
right.
on your phone? You
Yeah.
wouldn't. You pay $8 or whatever it is to Spotify, and I think that's got to change. That will change.
All right. Wow. Really insightful stuff from Ty today.
that.
Appreciate it, man.
This is streaming media is my bugbear. So
Your what? Your bugbear?
my bugbear. Yeah.
Does that mean like your bag?
my
Is it-
love to hate it? Sort
Oh,
of,
okay.
Yeah. it's
All right. I've
the
never
thing
heard that
I-
expression before. That's why we bring you on, because
We
you
don't
always
have
these
bugbears in Australia.
No?
We have drop bears. That's another thing.
drop bears.
Yeah,
Bears?
watch out for drop bears.
Yeah,
What are
I'm
those?
I'm terrified.
Those bears that drop down on you from the trees?
Can they
Okay,
fly?
essentially they're like killer koalas.
Oh, killer koala.
They drop on tourists, and they have like poisoned little poison nubs that they actually
No,
take.
Wait, is this a real? Is this
don't.
like a chupacabra
Drop
thing, or
bears
is it
are
real?
real.
This
Okay.
sounds like it's out
I'm gonna
of
look
like
this
a
up.
Napoleon Dynamite movie.
Drop bears too is a really funny way.
Drop
to
bears
call
with their poison fangs.
Oh
Get
my
outta
god!
here.
I can't even show some of these photos.
I don't want to
do
see
not
them.
Switch.
I don't want to see them. No, thank you.
Oh, drop bears are a lot scarier looking than koala bears.
I'm not looking at that.
Yeah, switch
Jeez.
to this.
What is this thing?
Ew,
Oh my god,
this
it's
is
like
an-
Alf
Yeah.
on
God,
acid.
It's killer elf.
It's
This is an artist
crazy.
rendering. Oh, here's a drop bear. It looks like a
Oh
koala,
my
but just a
God.
lot meaner.
That koala has seen better
Ah!
days. Jesus, why? It's like a koala mated with a vampire.
Have you seen one of these things before?
Oh look. Every Australian knows about the drop bear. Tourists don't. So
think it's a
I'm just,
myth. It's a
I'm
myth.
just,
It's a myth.
disseminating the information
Drop
about drop
bears.
bears.
It's a
out
myth
there.
like
So
Congo
awesome.
with the aggressive gorillas. I'm
Right.
telling you. It's total myth right there.
Drop bears.
Whew. All right, calls from the public time before we got to head out of here.
Time to show the love.
Go, Miss
866-404-CNET.
404.
Jesus.
These things do not switch.
Do
Man,
not switch.
Horrible.
First call, one of our Dominican friends wants to give me some advice or maybe cheer me up about my experience while I was down in his fine country.
Jeff, wanted to say I like the show. You guys are great. Listening to you for a while. Jeff, in the Dominican Republic, if they give you a nickname, that means they like you, and therefore you're considered an honorary Dominican. Being a Dominican, I can tell you this because for the last 35 years, no one in my family knows my name. You just know my nickname.
That's so funny. They kept calling me Blanquito.
White?
Is that a white
That means like
reference?
little white boy is what that was. That what that means. Well, Blanquito, when you do it's like
Blanco.
male.
Well,
Blanco is like
white.
white.
Yeah.
Blanca, I
Blanc-
believe,
yeah.
is white in Spanish
Right.
officially, or whatever it is. And they were calling me Blanquito, like. Like, I feel like when you add Ito, it's like little, you know, like,
But also
hey
little-
there, little white boy with
Right.
your ginger beard and your stupid face,
Yeah,
you know,
and you're
that's,
sober drinking.
and you're sober drinking. That's funny. We had someone else call about taking a honeymoon in Punta Cana, and he's like, oh, I was drinking all these strawberry daiquiris, and then found out they were virgin strawberry daiquiris.
Right.
Dude, did you hear about this?
Yeah.
Stupid me. Oh, what an idiot
You
I felt
dummy.
like. Yeah. Let's
Blanquito. That's
stop
awesome.
it. It is awesome. Here's some more stuff about the iPad and then your touchpad.
Hey guys, this is Orange County from Ryan. Just three quick things. Jeff, really loved your post yesterday about the iPad versus the home console comparison.
Woo.
You really wrote down what I was feeling, and thanks for that. Number two, Justin said that touchpad use has gone down. You should try putting ice cream sandwich through CyanogenMod 9 Alpha 2 on it.
Yeah.
I did it last week. It was great. It took a half an hour. Now I can dual boot into WebOS and ice cream sandwich on the touchpad. There's just some small issues that I worked out on the forums.
All right, so dude, you should do that.
So he's talking about what mod was that? Cyanogen, I think it's called. Cyanogen 9 just came out. I'm
Yeah.
looking it up online right now.
What the hell's that?
It's a way to root your touchpad
Touchpad.
in order to put a ice
So
cream
do it.
sandwich on there. Yeah,
Do it.
You know what I would do it with it is I would immediately install Flipboard, and that's something that I really wish that was on the touchpad.
Do it, man.
Yeah.
I mean, ice cream sandwich on my Nexus is awesome.
Yeah?
I love it.
Okay.
Do it.
I'll try it. It'll be like a nice little project for me. I'll report
that-
back.
And what's the worst that could happen? You'll brick your touchpad.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
that's
I'll
the-
be out $100.
Oh, big effing deal. But, you know, that to me, that's like disposable.
Yeah,
No,
you're
I'm
right.
kidding. It's not. It's a lot of money. But yeah, you should definitely try it.
Okay.
Here's a good idea about adding something called study mode to iOS.
Hey, 404, this is Long Island from Christian, and I just really wanted to emphasize what you guys were talking about before about reading books on the iPad and how there's like notifications everywhere.
Yeah.
The thing when I use my iPhone and stuff for when I'm studying is I shut it on airplane mode. And I don't know why Apple hasn't made like a study mode. Like I flick on airplane mode, I just tell everyone to go away.
Yeah.
I'm doing homework. I just want to listen to music. I don't want to hear that Bob changed his profile picture. I don't want to hear that Julie texted me.
Yeah.
Hey, what's up? What are you doing? I'm eating pizza. No, now I can just listen to my music and just do what I need to. But if they did like a, education mode, it could leave on the internet so I could browse the web and look up information, and, let me just call, a certain contact or just.
No, you're
Ty,
rolling your
are you
eyes.
with me on this? Are
I
you
think,
eye rolling
is
too?
it going to go to, it only lets you to Wikipedia, for
Yeah.
example, or,
No, I
if
think-
you've got the internet there, that opens up a whole lot of distractions.
Right. Why don't you
Right.
just call it the iPad babysitter mode then?
Aw.
Because that's what he's asking for. It's not like computers, they don't have that function, and you could still access all the same things. Just turn off AIM. Turn off Facebook.
Yeah,
Don't listen to music.
I'm not. I think
Learn
there
a
should
little
be a
self-discipline.
Dude.
Not to be mean on this guy. I'm just saying, I've
I
been there
understand.
before.
I
I'm
don't care
easily
if you're being mean.
distracted too.
Yeah.
Like, I have a TV right in front of me at home.
Yeah.
Like, we have all this entertainment around
Sure.
at the office, and we still get work done.
Yeah,
Barely.
I just think there should be a all the other crap, whatever. There should be a no notification mode.
Yeah.
Definitely,
I guess so.
especially for the book stuff.
Right.
I'm sorry, man. You cannot argue with me that it's cool getting pop-ups while you're reading a book.
Yeah, no.
It's just not cool.
That's why you shouldn't be reading books on your
Of
Exactly.
course, you should be reading it on your Kindle. We got a couple emails. From Alessandro, people like my dad and Wilson's grandma and Sweet Lou would probably ask you, hey, son, the new iPad 3G, or is it 3G? No, dad or grandma, it's 4G. See the confusion? If you shorten iPad 3rd generation to iPad 3G,
Right.
then everyone there will be confused as to what technology or capability the iPad has. Just my 2 cents. He's right, but they weren't going to call it 3. They were going to call it HD. That was the thing.
Right.
In which I still think it should be called that, even though the HD suffix is tired.
You know, originally, what was it, 1024 by 768, the original, that is HD.
Right.
Because
It is.
It's
720p, right?
Yeah. So I don't think HD was always a bad name for me. I didn't get it.
I'm with you. I'm not saying it's good, but at least it freaking tells the difference. Colin from Weehawken. Oh, he's a neighbor of mine. This is what I said. Everyone gets one. He says, hey, 404 crew, in 09, my MacBook Pro battery had swollen to the point where I had to remove it. Really? That could happen on a MacBook? Your battery can swell? That's insane. It's so much to the point that he couldn't press up on the trackpad? What? Have you ever heard of this? He's like, very annoying. I think it's more than annoying. It sounds dangerous. I was going to buy a cheap replacement off eBay, but he went to the 14th Street Apple store to see if he could get a free or discounted one. His MacBook warranty was done, and they were going to get him a new battery for $70 rather than the list price of $120. And the guy typed the return label in incorrectly and said his name was something else, and he got a free battery. And then they realized they made a mistake, and the Apple genius said, "Oh, don't worry, forget about it. We'll just give it to you for free." That's what I'm talking about.
I like this. And he's like, pro tip, give them an incorrect name, then say it's wrong when you go to pay.
Actually,
and
that happened to me.
Yeah.
Like my phone died,
Yeah.
my old phone that I brought from Australia, and I actually went in, but they actually read the serial number off wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was under some other dude.
Yeah.
And with an Australian number. And I was like, I don't want his phone to suddenly stop working because they've exchanged mine.
Right.
So I said, and they gave me a free phone.
Amazing.
They didn't charge me for
They
it.
don't care. You want to know why? Because their stock's $500 a share.
I
They
don't know.
care.
Okay, so we got another email that's kind of contradicting this point. It's from Barry. He says, I work at a Genius bar in somewhere. I don't want to blow him up. I can confirm that it's no longer true. Everyone does not get a free pass at the Genius bar. Whilst we used to offer a free first-time pass service model. That turned out to be very inconsistent. Now we work on a fast and fair model of service where everybody gets the same answers and resolutions. So.
Well, I think so. But if they were looking for consistency, it sounded like they already had it.
Yeah.
In giving everyone one, free pass.
Right. It just doesn't sound like they're doing that anymore.
I hope that's not the case because
Maybe to encourage people to do Apple Care.
Maybe
Because they're losing on money by people not buying
did
it.
seem to sort of feel like there was no incentive to getting Apple Care after I got it for free. We were talking about app hoarding yesterday. Dave says, I am officially an app hoarder. I am currently at, listen, are you kidding me? 4,779 apps stored on my hard drive in iTunes.
Ew.
Bro, you've got a problem. That is way too many apps.
He's clocked it.
That's crazy to me.
Going to go into kill mode.
Dave, we got to talk, dude. We got to get like TLC up in your piece.
But that doesn't mean that he has all 4,779 of those on his iPad.
I know that.
He's just downloaded that.
But that's still too many. That's about 4,700 too many, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway, as long as you can do it and you're not. I feel like it's like gambling. People get into debt with this stuff. I hope they're all free or 99 cents. Even 99 cents is a lot of money. That adds up, man. That's crazy. And then yesterday we were talking about bringing an iPad into an outhouse.
Right.
I don't know how
Richard
that came
brought that
across.
point up, I believe.
That's right. And then our buddy Jason from Michigan says he grew up in Idaho where in some places there are still outhouses or pit toilets. If I saw one of those, I don't know what I would do. That's pretty crazy. Although I'm too poor to afford an iPad. That's not funny. And I was traveling in some parts of northern Idaho, it would be possible to be using an iPad in an outhouse.
Right.
So, dude, I wanted to see some photos of this. I want to see someone
Is it
using
on that little string that they have in our houses that they put the toilet roll on? I wouldn't touch that.
No, I wouldn't
not
touch that either.
iPad.
I want an
interesting.
iPad dock in every single outhouse in 2013.
And my dream is an iPad in every outhouse. Some stupid crap like that. That's funny, man. I guess you can have an iPad in an outhouse. The more you know.
Gross.
That's going to do it for us today. 866-404-CNET. That's the number to call. That's how you get in touch with the show. That's how you get heard and played on the internet. It's a big deal.
I like the
Send
internet.
us a video voicemail too. That's got to be the easiest way to get on the show because we get a lot of audio voicemails, but if you send in something visual, guaranteed to play.
Yeah, pretty much 99% chance.
Yeah, unless it
All
sucks. Then we
Unless
won't
it stinks and you're not funny. Big thanks to Ty Pendlebury for being on the
Cheers.
show. Ty, follow him on Twitter, type T Pendlebury. And we'll link to that in today's show notes as well.
Yep.
Thanks to Richard for popping in. Love you, buddy.
You're welcome.
All right, rock and roll. And tomorrow, I don't know who's going to be on, but we'll figure that out.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe a drop bear.
Yes. That's terrifying.
That's really
I'm going to go
scary.
cry now.
Koalas actually go. They
They
make that
snore
noise when,
like that?
when they're mating. They snort.
Oh,
Watch
wow.
a lot of koalas mate, do you?
Yeah.
Wait, they snore while they're mating? That's
No,
very
snort.
considerate. Oh, snort.
They
Okay.
don't snore.
Terrifying.
Yeah.
We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Jeff Bagalar.
I'm Ty Pendlebury.
You certainly
And I'm
are.
Justin Yu.
It's the 404. High Tech Lowbrow. Have a great day. We'll finish the week up tomorrow. Take care.